Today we have another star member on the team today. His name is Shyam, and he has been with Affinity for, well, we will be coming up to 6 months soon, no? By the end of the year,
Mm,
December.
yeah, end of the year. It'll be six
End
months,
of
I
the
think.
year, yeah.
So we're like
But
3 months in right now, right?
oh my God, yeah, it feels like 6 months, Shyam.
Yeah. You
Feels
guys,
like I've known you for,
you guys have been getting on like a house on fire, so you feel like you've
yeah,
known
it
each
feels
other
like I've
for
known him
ages, right?
forever. And
Yeah.
also, sorry, same birthday as well. So it
We
feels like I've
do,
known you forever.
which
Yeah,
we only found out like 2 days ago.
yeah.
Ah, nice.
No wonder we
Nice.
get on so well. Okay, cool. So we've got Shyam in the house today, and he is going to talk about all things Affinity and his journey and how he's found it so far. And we're only halfway through his first initial 6 months, and he has totally smashed it. So welcome, Shyam. Can
Thank
you
you.
tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah. Um, so I'm Shyam, as you know. Um, I I guess what do you want to know? I'm 31, going on 30. I work in advertising, so I have a very busy lifestyle, like with clients and stuff. And yeah, I guess I came to this program because I wanted to make a change. I'd felt I was starting to think quite negatively about myself, like physically in for quite a long time, and I'd known that I wanted to make a change. I just didn't really know how to do it. And then I was introduced to you guys. I think I was introduced to Nick first,
Mhm.
um, and we had an initial call, and it kind of just snowballed from there, really.
Yeah.
Had you like uh, we got introduced obviously and you sort of like landed on our page and things like that, but had you sort of seen what we were about and things like that before, or was it completely like almost a little bit of a shot in the dark sort of thing?
It was so I was doing a bit of like looking about on Instagram. I'd had friends who'd been with coaches and trainers before, um, and they didn't necessarily have the most positive experience, which is why I was shying away from the idea. But then I thought I actually just need someone that I can like go through this with and like help me and like teach me what I need to do. Um, and so I started researching, came across your guys' profile, a couple of others, and then I was you guys recommended through a mutual friend, and that's why I felt like so much more comfortable. Yeah, and then we kind of spoke, and I understood that this is not like some big scary thing, you
Yeah.
know. Um, yeah,
Amazing.
and also um, it just felt very different to what I know like other friends had done. Um, so I felt much more confident to kind of start this whole journey.
Nice.
Sweet.
Okay. And before you joined us,
Mm.
what would a typical day for Shyam be?
Oh, typical day. Get out of bed really begrudgingly, get ready, go to work, um, meet clients, either be on a breakfast where you'd have something really indulgent to eat, and then typically I could like go meet a client for coffee, and then there'd be a lunch where like inevitably you guys would share a bottle or two of wine and also have a really indulgent lunch and then back to the office. Like that could be a typical day. But then there
What, a
could
bottle or two of wine at lunchtime?
well, yeah,
Wow,
it depends. Like if it's like a Thursday or Friday, that would happen
for sure. Yeah, yeah, okay, fine.
earlier in the week. Then it would like that wouldn't necessarily happen. But you're still always going out to like places where it's quite indulgent, you know. Um, so there'd be a lot of like work, client, entertainment, social stuff, um, and that could change week to week. So it would make it really unpredictable, like where and what I'd be eating. Um, and then often in a weekday, like I'd come home and maybe have a dance class, so I'd want to eat really quickly, whatever's cooked at home. So I'm living at home with family, and then often towards the back end of the week, I'd be out in my own social circle, and again, like me and my friends really like to go out to eat at nice restaurants, and that would include like again really indulgent food and wine or cocktail, whatever it is. But yeah, it was a lot of going out, and a lot of eating out and being quite indulgent, I'd say.
Yeah.
A lot of people that listen to this, even our members and stuff like that, probably have very relatable jobs where it's client facing, a lot of hosting, a lot of entertaining, a lot of sort of going out and things like that. prior to starting, was that almost like oh, I could never do this because of the way my life is set up, like it just wouldn't work? Was there a sort of thought process like that?
That was 100% one of the things I thought. I was like, how on earth am I gonna actually do this? Because I have to be out so much, like, and yeah, it was definitely a big factor in like why I thought I couldn't actually do something like this.
Was it
Yeah.
also a big factor in sort of what led you to get to the position that you were in, sort of that state of like, I want to change now? Was it sort of that lifestyle that you were living?
Yeah, partially.
Cool.
I think the other part of it was like there was a bit of the like mental health side of it where I had previously, like years ago, pre-COVID, etc., was quite active in going to the gym. And then over the last few years, with so many changes happening, like just in general lifestyle, with job, etc., and it just, I kind of fell out of that routine. Um, I was active in the sense of like I was always doing my dance training and dance classes, but even that I was like doing it at like a very surface level. I knew I wasn't really pushing myself, so I wasn't really as active as I could have been, and it kind of like feeds into a bit of a negative cycle of like mental health where you think, oh, I feel really shit today. I don't want to get up. I don't want to do this. I don't want to eat something healthily. I'd rather just order a takeout, or I'd rather like, do you know what I mean? It's all just like a bit of a negative cycle. And that was also part of it that made me think, oh, I need to like change my attitude a little bit and um, get back to feeling how I felt before, both like physically and mentally.
Yeah. And just for our listeners as well, like Shyam started at the peak of summer. He came on in June, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peak of summer, and his lifestyle, literally the first week when he started, he messaged me and he was like, I've got to go out to Disham for a client lunch. I've got to go out here to a client lunch. This whole week I'm out. How am I going to do it? What am I going to do? And he realized that just by planning, before he steps into that restaurant, just by planning what he's going to eat, having a look at that menu, and keeping it as light as he possibly could, because then he can save for his meal at home or whatever, because he loves eating traditional Gujarati food as well, so he doesn't want to skip out on that either. Just by planning and putting a little things into place, little just small minor tweaks, putting them into place daily, how much weight was dropping even in first week. Yeah, just by small tweaks. And to be honest, he was out most of summer.
I actually everything else.
Was there like a lot of people say like, oh, I could possibly not drink at this event or not eat at this event because everyone will look at me funny and things like that. Is that actually a thing? Like, or is it just like a fear people build up with inside themselves and then they almost think that like they can't behave a certain way because they'll get funny looks? Or is it an actual thing? Like, do people give you those comments and things like that?
I think probably 10 years ago it would have been a thing, but I think now people are getting so much more savvy about like their physical health and um like much more accepting of people's choice not to drink at events, or like, do you know what I mean? And I definitely thought, especially in a work situation, if I was out at the pub with workmates, I would always be like, okay, I'll go for one, but one's never one.
Yeah.
It snowballs into whatever it snowballs into. But now, like, I think if you just communicate what it is you need from that setting or your boundary, people are quite respectful. And I found that, whether it's friends or family, if we've been out, I've said like, I'm only going to have like one drink, or I'm only going to have X amount. If you put a number on it and say, this is all I'm having, because of whatever reason, even if it's somebody who's not doing this kind of thing, like if you put that boundary into place, I think most people will respect it. That's what I found so far, at least, anyway, and people are quite supportive.
I think it was a learning curve for Shyam as well, because he found restaurants that actually had calories on the menus.
Yeah.
So he started changing places that he was going to with clients.
So you became the leader, right? You became like the decision maker, like, okay, I will meet you at this restaurant. And then you knew that you could be getting that food there.
Yeah, exactly. Because now if I like book somewhere, I'll have a look. Or like also you kind of know what kind of cuisine lends itself to having slightly healthier options, or like options that aren't so like crazy calorie wise. Like Jamie, I think we were talking the other day, like going out for tacos or Mexican is quite a good one, because on most of the menus I've seen, it's quite reasonable in terms of
Yeah.
portions. Like things aren't like crazy deep fried and like loaded with cheese and more
Yeah.
fried things.
And you get a lot of small plates. There's a lot of restaurants out there now where you can get small plates
Yeah.
instead of like a big portion, right, of fried and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, and Shyam's favorite lunch is meal deal, by the way. He loves his meal deals. So if someone says to me that they can't, if someone says to me that they can't lose body fat having a meal deal every day, I'll be like, right, chat to Shyam because he can do it.
Could you give us some like real practical advice? Like, could you talk me through, or us through, and our listeners through an average day when you have a client meeting and you are going out for a lunch at whatever restaurant? Like how would that type of day look for you? Like how would you sort of go from start till the end of the day with your food so that people could visualize it?
Don't forget your gym session as well, yeah, in that day.
Gym session the day as well. Okay. So I would, it depends. If it's a day where I like have to work from the office, wake up, I walk to the station now, like I've cut out jumping on the bus or getting tram just because like it's like extra hidden steps you just get for free. So I walk to the station. I'm not someone who has breakfast anyway, so I think that helps me when it comes to like managing calories over like a social outing. Go in, I'd have my morning coffee, and then at lunch, obviously I would have looked at the menu beforehand, but if I haven't had a chance, I'll kind of look at what's on the plate and I'll like try and avoid like those big deep fried type of things. And yeah, if we're having drinks, I'll limit it to like one or two, and like space out with soda waters as well. And quite often when I'm like, oh, can I have a soda water please? Everyone else on the table is like, oh yeah, I'll have one as well. Because they're like, okay, it's not a drinking lunch. Yeah, and then I would normally like take a picture of the food just so I remember what was on my plate and like I know how much I had, so you can eyeball it because obviously you can't measure when you're at a restaurant. But then afterwards, when I get back into the office, the first thing I do, because I'll forget, is like go onto my FitnessPal, check if the restaurant is on there, and if not, I'll go on the restaurant website and just like make sure everything's input as accurately as possible, and just so that you have like a good idea of like what you've consumed and what you have left for the rest of the day. And then when I come home, even if I haven't like consumed like a crazy amount of calories, I'll still keep a light dinner because I'm kind of like, I have been out, I've had a nice meal today, I don't need to have like another really lavish nice meal at home, so I'll make something light, if it's like home cooked Gujarati stuff, I'll have like 2 rotis and a bit of shark and maybe some yogurt with it, or some like fruit and salad on the side. And if I'm having like Western food, like if I'm doing like chicken, I'll do like a little bit of air fried chicken and some veg, something like that.
Pushing and pulling in the right places, right? So it's like, you know that you've been out for lunch, then in the evening you sort of pull back a little bit. Another one that I get all the time, sorry, there's so many questions coming to mind as you're saying it, is, oh, it's long, like entering into my FitnessPal is long and things like that. Doing it now, is it long or like looking?
No, it's actually not. It's actually really helpful. Because that like the whole feeling of like this is so long was one of the things that blocked me from doing it in the beginning. But now, especially when you start seeing results, I'm like, okay, this is actually really important for me to understand what is going in my body and what is, you know, like then when can I go and kind of ease up a bit and like have fun and like not feel guilty about it as well. It's not the kind of thing that makes you feel guilty. If anything, it just makes you feel a bit more accountable to yourself and how you're eating and your relationship with food.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And then with training, because sometimes you have those mornings as well where you don't want to get out of bed and go to the gym. You message me in the morning, you'd be like, oh, do I have to go gym? I really can't be bothered. So how have you been managing your training, getting your activity up as well? Because I know like when you have socials and you have like a lot of socials in the week, you make sure that you go to that gym session and you get that extra activity in. So have you been managing your gym sessions and what's been motivating you to go?
So my main routine for it is that I know what days I have to be in the office and what days I have to be at home. I'm really not a morning person, but I have been making myself go in the morning, and it's been on the days where I work from home, because then I know that, like, you know, if I'm commuting into the office, I have to be up earlier, and then adding a gym session before that means even earlier.
Yeah.
That's just not a bit of me. So you have to do what works for you and what's sustainable, because if it's not sustainable, you're not going to continue doing it.
Mm.
So I know that my Tuesdays, my Fridays generally are the ones at home. So I'll wake up at like 7:30, 8, like which is like respectable still, you know, because if you're commuting, you'd be up earlier than that anyway. So you still get
Yeah.
light in. Go to the gym, which is not far from me. It's like 15 mins. Do my session. I'm back in the house for like 9:30, which is when I start work anyway. And I find once it's in the morning, you can kind of get it out. It's like it frees the rest of your day up to do whatever you
Agreed.
want.
Yeah.
There have been times where like I've done like a mid-morning, like if I've had a slower work day and I felt too tired to wake up, and it's been one of those low motivation things where I'm like, oh, I can't bother to get out of bed, and then you roll out at 9:30, and then I'll think to myself, no, just go, because once you're there, it'll be fine. And like I found myself generally messaging you, being like, I really don't want to go, but I'm on my way. And you always say, when you're there, you're fine. Just do it, and
Yeah.
you'll be fine. Once you
Yeah.
start, you're fine. And the thing is, it's true. Once you start, you are fine.
Exactly.
You know,
And sometimes he's messaged me and he's been like, oh, I need to go to the gym. I'm going to
What
go
do you
now.
say back?
And
I'm
then
interested
and
to
then
see what you say
and
back.
then I respond back to him, and I respond back to him, and as a coach and as a friend, I also message him back saying, you know what, I need to go as well, and I can't be bothered. But we just have to get this shit done, Shyam.
Yeah, you do. You do.
sometimes
Another
you
have
just
to.
can't get over it.
Yeah.
Another big thing that me and Jamie have recently been speaking about, we haven't mentioned it just now for you, but Shyam has another passion outside of fat loss. And I really believe that that passion is also probably a big driving force for getting into the gym and things like that. You're not training purely to drop body fat and get in shape. You're also training because you are a professional dancer, a very good professional dancer. And the training actually helps that, right? So you have a purpose behind your training. Not only do you want to be leaner and stronger and fitter, but you also want to be able to dance at your best and sort of have the stamina to go on for ages and things like that, right? So that's another sort of driver behind it. So it's like, I got to do my training session so that I can dance well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. That was one of the biggest things of the things we spoke about. Like that also was one of the biggest things that made me start this journey, because obviously I'd gotten myself into a position where I didn't feel physically fit. That fed into like the negative like mindset of things, and then that got me to a position where I was like, I'm not dancing the way I used to dance. I know what my body was capable of. I know how much stamina I did have, all those things, and then it's just like negative cycle, like constantly feeding back into itself. And I was like, I have to make a physical change if I want to be back at the level of stamina and performance I was.
Yeah.
I had a big performance coming up at the end of summer, and the training put me in such a good position for that. Like my dance teachers, mentors, people who I'm working with, like down to the musicians who are playing for me. By the last week, like before my actual show, everyone was like, your stamina and energy and the way you're able to perform and execute your movements has like flipped since we had our like first like meeting in the start of summer, where I'd started working on some of these pieces. And so that was like that was really important to me, and I'm so glad I managed that.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it was a big driving factor. I mean, it still is a big driving factor, and it's why I want to continue on this journey, because it just boosts everything I'm doing in that other passion of mine.
Yeah. You're an athlete, man. Whether you realize it or not,
He is.
it's a form of athleticism. And if you take a look at footballers, right, they don't just go and play football on a Saturday. Throughout the week, they're eating well, they're doing their strength and conditioning, they're training and things like that. And just the same as you're not just banging out a performance, you're doing the strength and conditioning behind it, you're eating well, you're doing the dance training and things like that. So yeah, you're an athlete.
Yeah, I would never have thought of myself in
Yeah.
Talk
And
to us about the results. Sorry, go
yeah,
on,
go
Jamie,
on.
go on.
No, go on. I was just going to say about his dance show. I can vouch for it because I went to watch him and he non-stop 2 hours was performing on stage
Yeah.
solo. He
Yeah,
was
Jamie told me it was
amazing.
solo. I was like, what, solo, 2 hours? She was like, yeah,
Solo.
he was dripping in sweat. And I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
really? I was
Yeah.
like,
yeah.
damn, I didn't
Dave
realize it
was
was
like right
continuous.
up at the front, and I was like, oh gosh, she's
I
gonna
was
get
right at the front
sprayed
and I was
with
right at
my
the front and I
Did
was
you
like
spray her a
smiling
bit?
at him. Yeah. And when he was spraying people, I was like, oh my God, he's going to spray me. He's going to spray me. But he had one outfit change because his first outfit change was drenched. And like, I was like, oh my God, he needs to go change. He needs to go change.
Really, really
But
good.
he did
Really,
so
really good.
well. Did so
Really
well. And
good.
then you're going to be even more amazing for your next performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his
Yeah.
outfits were big for him. So he'd taken them in as well, but he didn't take them in
So
so
did you buy
much.
them originally to fit
Yeah.
your old body, and they got sort of, yeah.
So I had them tailored for me in April of this year because I went to India. I had them tailored, they were made to measure. And when they came, they fit me like not snug, but they fit me well, and it was all fine. And then literally 3 days before the performance, my dance teacher came around with her sewing machine, pinned it all up, put all the darts, did all the adjustments, and I wore it, and we left it slightly loose just because you need it for the movement and things, but like it did feel like it was extreme. I mean, before I had it altered, it was loose. There was a lot of like I'd say like a good this much space
Oh
in
my
this kind of
God.
area here. It was baggy.
Okay, so
Yeah.
clothes are fitting you better, you're getting them altered and things like that. Could you give us an idea of like what the results have been like over the last sort of 3 months in terms of physical, mental, and everything? So yeah,
Yeah.
where are you at now?
So mentally, I'm in a much better place. Like, feel so much more motivated. I sleep better, and I genuinely think that's because I've lost weight. Lots of people talk about like sleep being a really important thing, which it is, but I don't think lots of people realize how related it is to like your diet and exercise and like the positive correlation between those things. So that has been really helpful. Because I track my sleep on my watch, and I've seen since I've started working with you guys that like my sleep quality has improved so much. I'm not awake as much. That's one thing. Like the mental health side of things has improved so much. I feel much more motivated. I don't feel like lethargic or tired. That there are far fewer days of like I just want to stay in bed. So that's really positive. Physically, like I've seen a change. Like we do progress photos, and like looking at the last ones versus the first ones, I was like, oh wow, that is a big change. Like because when you keep on looking at yourself in the mirror, you don't necessarily notice it. So that it's helpful to have those photos, and lots of people actually have commented and said that I've lost a lot of weight. I'm looking much healthier. Which that's not why I'm doing it for those comments, but it's always nice to receive those compliments. But I think the craziest thing is like the weigh-ins, like weighing in every day and like actually just seeing it go down and like tracking it in the app that we have. Like the graph is just like that, and
Yeah.
I was like I'm a bit in disbelief because this was the target that I had set for myself at the end of 6 months, and just I guess to be completely clear, I started at 96 kilos, which was the heaviest I've ever been. In fact, it might have been just a bit more than that. And this morning I weighed in at 83.3. 83.3.
Wow, so almost like 13 kilos down. You started at the beginning of June, like okay, so like maybe even mid-June. So like we're exactly 3 months into the process almost.
Yeah.
Wow.
And 84 is the target I'd set for myself at the end of like working together for 6 months, because that was a number I felt, the last time I was that weight, which was like in my mid-20s, like 6 years ago, 6 or 7 years ago, that's when I felt at peak performance for dance and physical health and all that kind of stuff. And now I'm starting to surpass that, and like we're resetting our goals. Yeah, and that just, it feels really good to be able to do that. I've surprised myself.
Really,
That's
really
13
good.
kilos in 3 months. So just imagine the next 3 months.
Yeah.
Smashing it. Seriously.
Yeah.
How has it felt though? Has it felt like, again, like, going back to when you're starting, you've heard of people's other people's experiences going through coaching processes, I imagine maybe sound a bit grueling or off-putting or whatever. Has it felt like that? Sort of losing this 13 kilos, has it been a slog or has it been hard?
It hasn't been a slog at all, actually.
I think what Nick's trying to say is, have I been a witch?
No, not at all.
No, 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 no. I want to
Like,
sort of
has
get
it
the
been
point
like
across that,
torture?
yeah.
Not at all. It hasn't been torture at all. Like, we're not. And yeah, because you're right though, because that is one of the things that put me off, because I saw friends who'd done it in the past, like, they'd come round for dinner with their own little Tupperware of like steamed vegetables, and I'm like, oh, I can't let myself do that, because I'm a big foodie and I really like food. Anyone who knows me knows that I love to cook really nice things and love food, and I'm also like, I'm not into sweets and stuff, but the thing that gets me is chocolate. And I've been eating chocolate, but I've been doing it in a sustainable way,
Yeah.
which is something, obviously Jamie's helped me with, and it's not been this grueling process where you have to give up everything in your life. Like, you absolutely don't. Like Jamie said, like, I've had a really busy summer socially, both work and like own social stuff, with like multiple weddings, going out just with friends, um, and I haven't felt like I've restricted myself from eating what I want. Like, I've still been out to the nice restaurants that I like going to and eaten the things that I like. I've still had, a couple of glasses of wine here and there. Like, I've still enjoyed my summer and enjoyed what I've eaten and what I've drunk. And like, it's not like I've had to cut everything out of my diet and out of my life, because
Mm.
actually that's just not helpful. You're not gonna continue um being successful if you cut everything out, because then life, like, it's just really boring, and it's also really difficult. This hasn't felt difficult.
Yeah.
It's felt really sustainable. It's felt really normal, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like, it just feels like this is how you should be sort of approaching your lifestyle when it comes to diet and exercise.
It's your new normal now.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't feel like a chore at all,
Yeah.
which is what I was afraid of.
Have there been days where you've lacked motivation ever
Yeah.
in the last 3 months?
There's definitely been days. I think that happens to everyone, where I've just been like, oh God, I can't bother. Do I really need to weigh this? Do I really need to?
And then what was it? What was it that brought you back on track or back to it? Was it me? Was it my messages?
Yeah. No, to be fair, sometimes when I was feeling really low motivation, I'd message and be like, dude, I just CBA today. But the reminder was, don't forget how far you've come. And also a very helpful message of like, it's okay to feel like that.
Yeah.
You can't feel 100% of the time all the
Yeah.
time. Then that's not sustainable.
Yeah.
One of the key things I've taken away from it is like, everything just has to be sustainable.
Exactly. So if there was someone listening right now and they're thinking of, contacting us, messaging us, or messaging you even, and you had 3 tips to give them, and they're a bit like wary of, or feeling demotivated, should they start now? Just exactly how you were feeling before you joined us.
Yeah.
What would the 3 tips be that you would give them?
So I think everything has to feed into the idea of it being sustainable. So like, keep things simple. Like, when it comes to food, make sure, like, keep it simple in the sense of like, I was somebody who thought I had to really have nice meals all the time to enjoy my food. You actually don't. For this to work, it needs to be quite repetitive, but repetitive doesn't mean boring either. You can find recipes out there that are low cal and really healthy and nutritious that are really tasty as well. That's the kind of thing I've switched to, and I make sure that we're like stocked up. So keep it simple and plan. So now we plan for the week, we make sure that we have all the ingredients we need. So like, on a Sunday, I make sure that just like a roast chicken is bought so that I can strip it, and I make sure that we have all the salad things, the wraps, so that in a week for lunch I can just make sure I make myself a wrap the way I know that I like it, and the way it tastes good. That's what I enjoy eating, and I know I'm not going to eat it because actually I quite like it. So keep it simple, plan, And then the third thing is just like be consistent, because that it's if it's routine, it just becomes like your new normal, and you're not thinking, oh, I have to really make myself do this.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that helps it become sustainable as well. And like we said, it's okay to have blips. That's very normal. Don't punish yourself for it. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
You just, if you have all those three things in place, it's easier to get back on track.
And I think a big thing for Shyam also has been that he's had the support at home. Like, he lives in a big family.
Yeah.
You know, his bar does most of the cooking, dinner times. His bar's even been on the background of our course sometimes. And she loves cooking for the whole family, and he's been fine. He's been eating bar's food and everything.
One of the resistance points that I get from people is like, when I say like, look, the key to this is planning, is oh, I don't know what it is, like, you know, my family sort of just rustle things up randomly, so I can't really plan for it. Knowing what you know now, Shyam, what's your response to that?
You can plan for it. It's fine. Even if they do just rustle things up, like, you're in control of what you're eating for the rest of the day, like if you're out. And then when you're at home, like, it is about learning how to eat our, you know, Gujarati food in a more sustainable way. You don't need to have like 6 rotis. Like, I'm somebody who used to do that because I don't eat rice, so I'd be like, yeah, it's right, it's fine, I can have more rotis. But you don't need to do that. Like, you have to portion it properly. Also, if you are somebody who lives at home with family, like, the older generation aren't going to change the way they cook. They're still going to put the same amount of oil and salt and ghee and sugar and all that stuff in their food. You just have to be aware of what's going into it, I think, and then control your portions that way. But also, I think you might be surprised. Like, I live at home with my mum and my ba, and they too have started making healthier changes just by seeing what I'm doing. Like, I don't always eat Gujarati food because I'll like make chicken and stuff like that for myself. But they have also started, you know, like, just 2 days ago, because my mum eats chicken as well, we did some roast chicken and then just a tray of like loads of roasted vegetables. And Ba was like, yeah, fine, I'll just eat the roast veggies. It's fine. So they've started also swapping things in and making healthier choices as well. So I think it's just about communicating what you need to actually be successful on this journey, and people will support you.
It's the biggest thing, communication. People just build up fear in their head that they won't be able to do this because everyone's stuck in a certain way of living and things like that. But it is just about communicating it. You can absolutely always plan.
Yeah,
exactly.
At the end of the day, your friends and family want to see you succeed. So
yeah.
Perfect.
I've even seen Shyam's plate with chicken curry and rotli. So, you know what I mean? Mix it up. Ba's making the rotli, that's fine. You make the chicken curry.
Chicken curry.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't always control what is put in front of you, but you can always control how much of it you eat.
How much you have,
yeah,
sure.
Definitely. Yeah. Great, amazing.
Thank you so much for jumping on. That was a really good chat. I think we went like as one of our longer episodes, isn't it, just there?
Yeah, it's been a good one.
Guys, if you liked that, please drop us a comment, let us know, and yeah, give us your love on this. Thank you so much for listening.